Hello everyone. Good day, our dear professors. To Dr. Victoria Nessa Chu and Dr. Alfredo Derecho, I am assigned to present to you a case study about the Social Amelioration Program on the SAP distribution. So this is a subject requirement for MPAd5 or the Management Planning and Control. So what is SAP? It is the Philippine government's emergency subsidy program for more than 20 million Filipino families belonging to the low-income and most vulnerable sectors, those that are severely affected by COVID-19. So it is part of the COVID-19 response and recovery interventions, and its legal basis of its implementation is the Republic Act number 11494 and the RA 11489, or the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. So what is in this law? So in this law, it is stipulated that the whole of the government approach remains to be the most effective strategy to ensure the efficient implementation of the COVID-19 response and recovery interventions. The implementation of this program is through the existing services handled by the participating agencies. So by the way, there are also other agencies handling the social amelioration program. Like for the DSWD, they are using the emergency subsidy program approach. So for DOLE, they have what we call the CAMP, or the COVID-19 Adjustment Measures Program, DOLE Topad, or the Tulong Pangkabuhayan sa Ating Displaced or Disadvantaged Workers Program, #BKBK. So what is BKBK? It is the Barangay Ko, Bahay Ko Disinfecting Sanitation Project. So for this program, they referred to the barangay for identifying the potential beneficiaries that needs to be prioritized. In our municipality, there are more or less 40 individuals who avail the said program, and the subsidy amounted to 3,200 pesos per family. But then for this year, same beneficiaries, they gave additional 1,800 last April. So still, its total subsidy amount is now 5,000 pesos. It's just that it is late. So for Department of Agriculture, they also have the Rice Farmers Assistance or the Financial Assistance Program, the supplementary program of the DepEd, and the support to alternate learning modalities, and also the Negosyo Serbisyo sa Barangay of the DTI, and so on and so forth. So there are really many programs and services that the government is doing for as a means of support to all the affected families of this pandemic. But then again, due to time constraint, I was not able to interview personnel from those agencies I have mentioned. So I will focus my case study on the DSWD SAP distribution, since I was able to handle the implementation of the program here in our LGU last year, because our Municipal Social Welfare and Development Officer, or our MSWDO, had also started her maternity leave 2 days before the distribution of the cash subsidy. So I was the office in charge at that time. So talking about the eligible beneficiaries, who are these families? These are, first and foremost, the first priority of our government are those 4Ps beneficiaries, since they are tagged as the poorest of the poor families in our country. Second is the informal economy. So who are those in the informal economy? So those are the directly hired or occasional workers, the subcontracted workers, the home workers or the house helpers, the drivers of pedicab, PUV, taxi, micro-entrepreneurs and producers, operators of sari-sari store and the like, sub-minimum wage earners, farmers, employees affected by no work, no pay, and the stranded workers. So, there are also other households with members belonging to vulnerable sectors, so they are also considered as eligible to receive the program, the SAP. So, vulnerable sectors like the senior citizens, the persons with disability, pregnant and lactating women, as well as the solo parents. Also, the indigenous people, the underprivileged and homeless individuals, and other members of the vulnerable sectors. So, as per DOLI guidelines, they are those probationary. So, just please refer to the screen. You can read here the eligible individuals as per DOLI guidelines. So based from my knowledge, there are still a lot of families who have not availed until this time. So that is for DOLE. Like for example, those sales lady from different establishments who were forced to stop working because of the abrupt downfall or closure of businesses. So another question is, how much is the subsidy amount per region? So it ranges from 5,000 to 8,000 depending on its daily minimum wage per region. So for Caraga region, here in our region, our daily minimum wage is 320 and this equates to a subsidy amount of 5,000 per family. So I will now proceed to my chosen case study, which is the SAP distribution in our municipality. So by the way, our municipality is a fourth class in the province of Surigao del Norte in terms of income. So this is the case study of our SAP distribution. So identifying information, the title is the Social Amelioration Program Distribution in the municipality of Higakit. So I just highlighted some important notes, some important information for your reference. So date of implementation here in our region or here in our municipality is from May to June 2021 and from August 2021. So number of beneficiaries, there are 2,084 families and 487 families for the non-4-piece members, and there are also 1,219 families 4-piece member here in our municipality, and they have availed the SAP. So there are two batches of beneficiaries are reflected for the non-4-piece because the first funds we received is only for the 2,084 beneficiaries, which we think was sufficient for the eligible families. But then, because of the many grievances, we have sent another list for the unserved poor. And that is now the inclusion of the 487 families that was distributed last August 2021. So here in Higakit, we have 5,200 families in total. And the total number of SAP recipients are 3,719 families. So the variance between the two, for those families who are non-eligible, meaning they are not qualified, like the government employees, those seniors, or those families who are receiving still good income despite the pandemic, and then those senior citizen, even if they are senior citizens, but when they are receiving a monthly pension more than 5,000 or more than the allocated financial assistance, so still they are not qualified to receive the amelioration program. So what is the presenting problem of my case study? So it is the declaration of the enhanced community quarantine in all regions. Thus, the need to provide financial assistance for the affected families of the lockdown. So history and background of the case. The municipality of Higakit is a recipient of the Emergency Subsidy Program of the DSWD through Social Amelioration Program or the SAP. So there are a lot of affected families during the start of the pandemic, and most especially when the ACQ started. So what is the process and procedures during the distribution of our SAP here? So LGU Higakit were given 2,084 slots as beneficiaries of the SAP. So the LGU Higakit were provided a system-generated list from the DSWD regional office, and these lists are based from the Listahanan 3 or the list of poor households in the municipality as identified by the DSWD regional office. So they have region hired personnel who validated or who check all the families here, all the poor households here. I think that was last 2019 if I am not wrong. So the LGU coordinated with the barangay officials because these lists are still subject for validation. So even if they have given us the list or the system generated list, those beneficiaries listed are still subject for validation. So from that, the barangay has the right to omit names in the list if proven not qualified, and they can recommend other head of the family or other families as an alternate of the unqualified. So after the list had been finalized, the funds were automatically downloaded to the LGU, and we were only given 15 days to do the distribution process. So it was really stressful for us implementers here in the LGU and barangay level. So for the issues and concerns, first, the timeline of the program is very fast, that the LGU level has no enough time in terms of conducting the house-to-house validation of the identified recipients. So that is really the right thing to do. There should be or there must be a house-to-house validation in order for us to really look at the situation of every families. But again, due to time constraint, it did not happen. So another issue and concern is some of the barangay officials included unqualified beneficiaries in the list. And then another is in the national television, radio, and in social medias, it was repeatedly announced that all Filipino families will receive and avail the said program, that even Representative of Taguig, Mr. Alan Peter Cayetano, validated the statement. So it is really, really hard for us here as implementors and as facilitators of the program, because the mindset of the people, especially that it is a cash, it is a financial assistance, you can't really control their emotions, their thinking, even if you explain to them 100 times. So another issue is the duplication of beneficiaries between the implementing agencies. So we receive complaint from the neighbor. So I will just tackle the experience I have during the distribution of that certain beneficiary, that the wife of the family head who just availed the subsidy is a domestic helper. And at that time, they are still not in the priority list since domestic helpers had been receiving still salary from their employers. So what we did is we really approached the beneficiary and get the money. and then the slot is given to the beneficiaries who are in the wait list. And because of that, we have been entertaining complaints, grievances left and right, to the point that our security was at risk because of their uncontrolled emotions. So we received threat in the barangay level. So this one, for the duplication of beneficiaries between implementing agencies, this happened with the Department of Agriculture, wherein their release for the financial assistance for the farmers whose rice and high value crops had been damaged with the same amount to the DSWD subsidy had been very timely to the distribution of DSWD subsidy. So there was no coordination from the LGU personnel, and it is already leaked that we knew that it was not a DA amelioration program. So imagine the commotion of the people, the beneficiaries who received one financial assistance versus the beneficiaries who availed the SAP from the SWD and DA, since if they are qualified according to them, they are still eligible to receive the DSWD subsidy, because what they have released for DA is not an amelioration but an assistance, which was supposed to be released last year, but they opted to release that during the pandemic time. So versus again to those families who have not received any. So grievances were really left and right while facilitating the distribution of the program. So we even received complaints from the 888 because of that, and we have just justified those incidents. So for the interventions, we do planning for the next steps after all those experiences. So we set plan A and plan B, and then we conducted meeting every after release in order to express our feelings and know each of our experiences. So these are now part of the planning. We requested the presence of PNP or AFP for our security every release, so every schedule. So we submitted also list of unserved beneficiaries to the regional office for possible funding to the DSWD regional office after the 2084 had been served by the program. So during the implementation of the additional 487 beneficiaries, no, because of the submitted list we have given to the regional office, we were given additional funding. Thus, the 487 waitlisted beneficiaries had been served. So that's a good thing. We tapped the barangay secretaries in the 13 barangays here for the cross-posting and validation of beneficiaries. So at that time, we really did the house-to-house validation in order to control the incidents, the experiences that happened before during the first round. So from that plan, the distribution of the additional funding is way smoother than the first round. So for my recommendations of my case study presented, all the first is that all the implementing agencies of SAP should have collaborated before the release of funds to the LGU level, such as the DA, the DSWD, the DOLE, the DTI, and other agencies implementing SAP, so that there would be harmonious implementation in the barangay level. So second is the cross-matching of all possible beneficiaries should have been done beforehand because of those duplication incidents. So in the LGU level, orientation of the program with the LGU department heads, not just the implementing office, should have been conducted so they can also facilitate queries from the public, or at least they could have assisted in the distribution to the barangay level. So for my closing message, I guess for some areas, there are still regions who have been implementing SAP 2. It has not yet ended. But in our LGU, it ended last year of August 2020, and we were able to upload all the SAC forms in the system. For all the issues thrown in the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or to the DSWD, though I am not already in the MSWD office, but I can feel the efforts and the sincerity of the personnel in implementing the program. The agency may not be perfect. There will never be, I know. But I still believe that they have been trying their best to respond to the demand of the people, especially in this time of pandemic. So if there were lapses on their end, let us just be objective of our claims. Anyway, the truth will always come out. It may not be right now, but it will when everything else falls into place. So with that, I bid my goodbye and thank you for listening and for watching.